are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Shishi LaRue reveals RuPaul's early drag race victory in the 1980s, shedding light on their friendship and RuPaul's journey.
FBI and DHS warn of foreign terrorist threats against LGBTQ+ events ahead of Pride Month, citing past incidents.
Rowling criticizes Lucy Clark, the first openly trans soccer manager, igniting debate online over transgender rights and representation in sports.
New report debunks age-related STI myths, warning of rising rates among older adults, and stresses the need for sexual health education.
The 35th GLAAD Media Awards met disruption as 150-plus protesters targeted its pro-Israel ties.
Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and even Facebook. It's time to queer up the news for Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine, happening on Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission? To support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our queer culture. The Black community, Latino, lesbians and queer women, trans, students, youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS, healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
Let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. First off, we're going to welcome Cindy Brown. Cindy was an early organizer of the Miami AIDS Walk and the White Party for Care resource. She's the programs director for the Lambda Living program at Jewish Community Services, and she also served as the executive director of the MDG-LCC Foundation. Welcome, Cindy.
I am so happy to be here with you wonderful folks.
As you should be.
Of course. And sitting right next to the beautiful bodybuilder.
Modest.
Lots of lighting here. Don't look at it. All right, let's welcome Gregg Shapiro, and an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 2 short story collections and 7 books of poetry. He's an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of print and online publications. Welcome, Gregg.
Thank you for this nice welcome, and thanks for making me giggle. And I'm so happy to be here.
That wasn't me. Let's welcome Vaughn Biggs, Broward County HIV Health Services Planning Council's vice chair and disruptive advocate, challenging outdated perceptions and fighting for HIV/AIDS rights. As Holy Cross Health's community outreach coordinator, Vaughn smashes stigma through innovative campaigns, got it, and social media. Vaughn, Holy Cross Health is headquartered in Oakland Park, and we see that Oakland Park will host Wonderland Pride on June 7th. Tell me, what's happening?
Well, yeah, so obviously, it always seems like Oakland Park has a Pride right before our Pride in banners, right? So, obviously, we have the Women's Center, which is on Dixie Highway, and the soon-to-be-open Family Health Center, which will be opening at 5601 North Dixie early next year. So we have 2 facilities housed in Oakland Park. And what better place to be than within the community there itself. Plus, we have a very large LGBTQ community that lives in Oakland Park. So come out. If you see me, tell me you saw me on here, and maybe we'll have a good goodie bag for you.
And if you see me, ask me if I'm okay.
Yeah.
Let's welcome anchor Buddy Frey, a longtime South Florida resident. He supports many of our local nonprofit organizations, including Julian's Fountain of Youth and the Stonewall National Library Museum. How you doing, baby?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Of course, it wasn't up to me, but I'm happy to have you.
I want to know more about that Fountain of Youth.
Right. You would. Anyway.
And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, Bonnie Builder. She is the premier South Florida bodybuilding drag queen and the current reigning, I don't want to say, Mixed Marys. A recent graduate at FIU, Bonnie Builder is a trainer and comes to life with a microphone and spotlight all to her own. Bonnie Builder, you are hosting the Alibi Sweat Box Work App launch party on May 31st. Tell me what's happening.
I will. So let me tell you about this app called Work. It is a new innovative app that I just learned about. It is an app where if you are a drag fan and you show up to a new area, you hop on the app, it shows you where all the local drag shows are in that area in one place. And if you are a drag artist, you're also going to want to use this app because imagine it's like an indie.com for drag performers.
Wow.
You put in your showcase, your talents, anything you got to advertise yourself in one singular app. And I have the honor of hosting the launch party here in Fort Lauderdale, only at Alibi's Sweatbox. It's going to be May 31st from 10 to 1. We're going to have performances. There are 2-for-1 drinks. And most importantly, I'll be there because they paid me. So you all need to show up and make me look good.
Awesome.
We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening, we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for Wednesday, May 15, 2024. First, this evening, let's queer up drag culture. Here's the tea. Yes, RuPaul won Drag Race in 1986.
The show, and guess what the show was called?
What?
Drag Race.
What year was this?
1986. And one night, someone came in and entered the contest, and they won. And guess who that person was?
Paul. RuPaul won Drag Race in 1985.
And she sang Star Booty. And she won the contest.
Yes, nearly 25 years before RuPaul's Drag Race became a global phenomenon, RuPaul herself competed in Drag Race and emerged victorious. Drag icon Shishi LaRue revisited this tale during an interview on the Shut Up Chanel podcast, hosted by casting director and producer Chanel Perillo, shedding light on RuPaul's early triumph in the drag world. LaRue reminisced about a spontaneous opportunity she had in 1986 to host a show at the 4-Star Saloon, now known as Mickey's West Hollywood. LaRue recalls that RuPaul sang Star Booty and won the contest. LaRue reminisced about this anecdote directly with RuPaul himself during an October 2014 episode of the What's the Tea podcast. Reflecting on their friendship, LaRue mentioned that RuPaul's Drag Race victory in question likely occurred in the mid-1980s. Today's winner of the RuPaul's Drag Race can win as much as $200,000.
Woo!
During an August 2021 interview on Squirrel Talk, LaRue mentioned that RuPaul's triumph in that 1980s Drag Race competition earned him a whopping $100 grand prize. Oh, how the times have changed. So, for all you little Redditors out there who say RuPaul wouldn't even win Drag Race herself, Boots, she won it first. So she is the first, I love you, Bibi Zahara Benet, but RuPaul is the first winner of Drag Race, and she has held that title for a very long time. I don't know how she looked, I don't know how she sounded, I don't know how she did, but she won. And as a fellow winner at this table, I know how that feels.
We're all winners at this table.
Well, some of us have a scepter, so
well,
whatever.
You know, I think it's awesome, and 1986, maybe $100 was worth $200.
Actually, inflation,
Maybe
$100.
it was enough to buy a new outfit or something, but the prizes today, I mean,
$200,000.
You can pay rent on that.
yeah, I mean, they work for that money.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, dude.
Pun intended.
Yes, we
And I
do.
would say, RuPaul has shown she's done the work.
Right.
How many years? 25 years?
I can't say it, I'm not allowed, but yeah, long time, very long time.
Well, Ruth created the industry. She created
Absolutely.
it
Right.
worldwide.
Yep.
So if anyone deserves the financial gain, it's definitely.
Yep.
Well, and really 40 years, almost 40 years, because that was 1986 when they won, and then started the show. So in honor of this great moment, I brought my squirrel friend.
No, you did not.
Shaniqua sent to me years ago by the World of Wonder gang when I mattered. So I just want to say congratulations, Rue, squirrel friend. Brava.
Oh my God, why does it look just like me? That's insane.
You don't have the crown. We need to get you that crown.
We do need to get me a crown. Happening at Television Network. That would be nice.
Next, let's queer up the USA View. FBI and DHS issued terrorist attack warning during Pride Month. Just ahead of June Pride Month, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security have issued a cautionary alert regarding potential threats from foreign terrorist organizations. The public service announcement highlights the historical use of anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric and the targeting of LGBTQ+ events and venues by many foreign terrorist organizations. In February 2023, ISIS circulated messages containing anti-LGBTQ+ rhetoric and urged followers to target unspecified soft targets. Additionally, 3 ISIS sympathizers were apprehended for plotting an attack on Pride in Vienna, Austria in June 2023. The announcement also mentioned June 12th, which marks the 8th anniversary of the Pulse shooting in Orlando. In recent years, threats against Pride events have been numerous, with various foreign terrorist organizations, FTOs, issuing warnings. However, a more alarming trend emerges from threats by domestic terrorists. A report released in 2022 revealed that instances of anti-LGBTQ+ mobilization had surged by over 4 times from 2020 to 2021, and this concerning trend continued into 2022. In 2023, another report revealed a 3-fold increase in incidents of anti-LGBTQ+ hate and extremism during Pride events compared to the year before. Almost half of these reported incidents were carried out by individuals linked to extremist organizations such as the Proud Boys and Patriot Front. Well, I think that many of us were already on edge and hyper-aware during the orange freak show in the dirty adult diaper when he was in office. And our hyper-vigilance, I think, has only occurred over time. However, having a warning such as this coming from the FBI and the DHS somehow makes it feel more real and even more threatening and frighteningly possible. So we must take this seriously, and please, everyone, be on guard and stay safe.
Yeah, I know that there are movements around trying to help Pride organizations appropriately prepare for any kind of attack or any kind of negative activity that's happening. I mean, it could start with a couple of people holding signs and protesting, and it could become something much, much bigger. We've seen it happen. So,
yeah. I'm going to say, as an Army brat, my father taught me a lot of tricks when going to crowded places. And I want everybody to have the greatest time when they go to events like this, like Pride events and all that good stuff. But there's some important things you need to know. Go as a group. Try not to go alone. Try to go more than 2 people, like 3 people. In that group, please have like one designated sober person. Or if somebody's going to get lit initially, make sure they sober by the end, so you have somebody with sound mind who can instruct you what to do, where to go, drive the car. Also, make sure you identify exits where you need to go. again, I don't want you to be anxious. I don't want you to be on edge, but I do want all of us to be safe
and prepared.
and be prepared. We can't go into this blindly. There are people gunning after us, and we will not be scared. We're not going to stop coming out, but we will be prepared, and we have to watch our own backs.
We see something, say something.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Well, and this is also, the younger generations.
Thank you. Appropriate.
Yeah, it's their turn to protect us.
No,
No, I'm just kidding.
It's just, I think it's important. I mean, my whole life, I've lived all over the world in different spots, and you've always had to learn where you are, who you're around, and like you said, where's an exit. I mean, it's a common sense situation, but at the same time, because of the last 5 years or 6 years of the rise in hate in general, everybody seems to hate everybody lately. That, and even down here, we're the home of the Proud Boys, we're the home of the Patreon Front. We have to be not only just aware, but we can't quit. I don't want Pride events to get smaller. I need them. We need them to be strong, and that means we take care of ourselves and we take care of others, and we're there to be proud and supportive. Yes. And we have to be smart. We can't just be we can't just be drunk and looking cute. Right. That's not good in the world, regardless of how old you are.
That is exactly right. Not everybody looks cute out there.
Yeah, well, that's important. But I don't want anyone to quit going.
Exactly. We do need to continue going. Absolutely.
Nothing is going to keep us at home. Nobody's going to put me back in the closet.
Absolutely not. No I don't fit. I got a fat ass.
Well, now let's queer up trans rights. J.K. Rowling does it again, has a Twitter meltdown on race and trans woman Lucy Clark. Once again, J.K. Rowling sparks controversy as she targets Lucy Clark, the world's first openly trans soccer manager. Rowling reignited her online critique of transgender individuals, taking aim at Clark in particular. The acclaimed British author's remarks came in response to @prideuk.org's tweet celebrating Clark's historic achievement as the first openly transgender referee turned manager in the top 5 divisions of English women's soccer, taking charge at Sutton United. Taking to X Twitter, she expressed, quote, "When I was young, all the football managers were straight, white, middle-aged blokes, so it's fantastic to see how much things have changed," end quote. While Clark received support and Rowling faced criticism for many of her remarks, there was also a contingent on the internet who voiced support for the 58-year-old novelist. In recent years, Rowling's social media activity has often stirred controversy due to her criticisms of transgender individuals. Later in the day, Daily Mail Online published an article discussing Rowling's comments. The UK-based news site also shared the piece on X Twitter under the headline, quote, "J.K. Rowling accused of cruelty for mocking transgender football manager, likening her to a straight, white, middle-aged bloke," end quote. Rowling swiftly engaged in the discourse with a follow-up tweet addressing the UK news article's outlet. Quote, "I didn't liken him to one. He is one," end quote, she tweeted in response. At the beginning of the year, Clark was appointed to head the women's team at Sutton United, a 5th division club based in South London. Once again, the writer of Harry Potter, who was all about diversity and differences and supporting each other, shows her bigoted side and just hates on people. I really don't know why she feels it necessary to open her mouth and say anything about this, honestly.
People just minding their business. And they just can't
exactly.
live.
Well, but we also have to, I think it's also responsible for the people on these different avenues to not just, yes, of course you want to say something, but the point of the matter of the internet is that everyone's getting their 3 minutes of fame, like Andy Warhol said.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, she's a wealthy white woman in Britain who's created Harry Potter. The world loves Harry Potter. So quit listening to her. Block her. Drop her. Quit following her.
I don't follow her at all.
But I'm just saying,
That's
the
literally
answer.
how I feel. This is only headlines because it was made headlines. If she was speaking into the void and nobody responded, we would not have to talk about her right now.
And that's why Daily Mail, which is such an established publication.
It's like the National Enquirer.
Right.
You know,
The New York
Well, and
Post.
it's also disgusting that Rowling continues to have a safe space for her hate speech on this vile social media outlet. Although it's not all that surprising considering how transphobic Elon Muskrat is in his own life.
But that's my point. Stop following these people.
Right.
That's right.
I don't even use X or Twitter or whatever
I use it for dicks and butts, but like that's it. I swear, like that's all I use it for. Literally, just like inappropriate body parts. But like I'm not sharing
Well, those are
opinions on
very
it.
appropriate body parts.
Yeah,
You'd be
It's appropriate for
hard-pressed to live without them, right?
Give you appropriate place to put it. But yeah, like if you have opinions, share it with your intimate circle. Have them check you. You don't have to place it on the internet to be broadcasted. And I know I'm speaking into the void right now because we're at a time where you have to share every piece of thought in your brain onto the webs in order for it to be validated. Not everything has to be validated, y'all.
Right.
Oh, but think about it. J.K. Rowling loves Twitter, clearly, full of outdated ideas, right?
And big.
And magical creatures don't exist.
Right.
So dragons can be fine, but trans women is a problem. Is what gets me every JK. You are a joke. Honestly, you are truly a joke.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's queer up health. LGBTQ plus seniors are learning age is not a condom as STIs double. Dr. Ina Park, an associate professor of family community medicine at the University of California, San Francisco, and author of Strange Bedfellows, Adventures in the Science, History, and Surprisingly Secrets of STIs, emphasizes that there is a common misconception about age and sexually transmitted infections, STIs. Despite reaching 55 or older, individuals are not immune to STIs. Park stresses that you can get an STI regardless of your age, as she quotes HIV research scientist Dr. Stephen Karpiak, quote, age is not a condom, end quote. Furthermore, Park highlights the concerning trend that STI rates are on the rise across all age groups, including those over 55. STI infections are significantly higher in the LGBTQ plus community than in the straight community. While infections such as chlamydia tend to be more prevalent among adolescents and young adults, recent research presented at the European Congress of Clinical Microbiology and Infectious Disease highlights a concerning trend. STIs, including chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis, have more than doubled among Americans aged 55 to 64 over the past decade, with projections indicating that 1 in 6 people globally will be 60 and older by 2030. The study underscores the importance of healthcare professionals addressing sexual health as a routine aspect of care for older adults. There are numerous factors contributing to the persistence of STIs among older adults. Dr. Park notes that some individuals have received little or no education regarding sexually transmitted infections, STIs, and their prevention. Others may have been solely educated about unplanned pregnancy or subjected to fear-based teachings that primarily emphasize graphic portrayals of the worst-case scenarios associated with STIs. Well, someone who's 60 and proud of it, but quite proud of it. It's true, STIs are on the rise, and if we look at history, we're now in an age where, especially with men, obviously with erectile dysfunction, using Viagra and Cialis, is those prescriptions on the rise. We have hormonal therapy for women who are enjoying sexual pleasures on their own as well. And with that in common, there's no education behind it. So when you go in to see your doctor, when you were going in your 20s or your 30s, now you're in your 50s plus, and they still give you 15 minutes of time, but they know they're prescribing this medication or these therapies. There should be conversations about the impact of that in the community. And I love the quote that he said about age is not a condom. To me, it just speaks volumes because it's not. But it is, I hate to always say it, education,
Right.
but there's a different way to do it than the fear-based projections that are given by a lot of our medical professionals.
And Viagra is definitely one of those numerous factors because nothing's scarier than a 75-year-old man with a heart on. And he just thinks...
Are you hard right now? It's crazy.
Just a little
the outfit.
a little younger than that. But I'm just saying that, and they just think that they're unstoppable. They think they're young again because they're hard, and it's like, no. And the thing is that we know living here in South Florida, we know about the Villages, which is just north of us, and how they have some of the highest STDs in the country. But the thing that's really sad is that if you are a queer person and you are over 55, chances are you lived through the worst. You lived through the AIDS crisis. You lost friends, many friends. And so why do you think you can throw caution to the wind now, even though you're older? You should not be changing the behaviors that you've learned in the past. And that's the hardest part.
But I think it's got to go beyond just the medical aspects of it. I wish Hollywood and those that have the platform for media would start doing movies based on older people being in love. After the widow, after being a widow or a widower. I wish they would talk. I mean, 90% of the things that come out anymore, it's like if you're over 35, you're dead and you have no sex.
Yeah.
Well, I work with LGBT seniors, and I would say that a majority of these folks who are getting STDs or STIs are a majordia of them are straight because they didn't go through those things.
That's right.
But in terms of the gay community, especially the gay male community, it is beyond me that people who live through it, who know better. This was like maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and I was working in the AIDS arena, and one of my colleagues who had been in the AIDS arena for many, many years announced that he just became positive. And are you kidding? You work for an organization whose mission is to eliminate HIV and AIDS.
But we also down here, I mean, I know a large population of friends that came out in their 50s who didn't do that. And you didn't discuss it. You only worried about are you going to get her pregnant,
Right.
rather than what else happens. And I mean, I know a lot of older gay men who came out late in life after the kids grew up and the wife, they had their agreement that once the kids were gone, we can all separate. They didn't have the education. They didn't have the sexual education or the fear of AIDS. And then they come down here and they're finally like, oh my God, I've been waiting my whole life. I'm 55 years old. I've never had sex with a gay man. And they go back.
They have their gay adolescence.
They sow their wild oats like they're 18 again.
They still knew AIDS was happening back
It wasn't
in their neighborhood.
It wasn't in their neighborhood. It wasn't in their wheelhouse.
It was like the war in Iraq. It was like, they got
let me tell you, seniors are having sex all over.
And like you said, and we're down in South Florida, where we're the transient place of the universe, where people come down here to be rebuilt.
Party.
We have people, women that'll go get tested that if they're pregnant, but they won't get tested for HIV or STIs.
Why?
At the same time, a man may go get tested. Sure, I'll get an HIV test, but then won't get tested for STIs. And it's like it all comes, it all tied together. It's all tied together, and we just need to start focusing healthcare. We focused on that,
and we need to make it an okay subject to discuss, not a secretive subject, not an embarrassing subject.
Normalize the conversation.
Right, exactly.
Please do. Jesus.
Okay, so now that we're done solving the world's problems, next,
now get into a real world problem.
Yeah, exactly. Next, let's queer up the USA View. The 35th GLAAD Media Awards are disrupted by pro-Palestinian protest. The recently held 35th GLAAD Media Awards ceremony was faced disruption as over 150 demonstrators gathered at Manhattan's Hilton Hotel. Their protest targeted GLAAD's affiliations with pro-Israel entities. Leading the demonstration was ACT UP New York, joined by numerous queer Palestinian artists, activists, and organizers aiding Gazan refugees in Egypt. Sarah Ramirez from And Just Like That, and also Grey's Anatomy, lent the support too. The protesters demanded GLAAD address the Palestinian cause and sever connections with pro-Israel groups like the Anti-Defamation League, along with corporations accused of union busting, including Google, Walmart, McDonald's, Disney, Hulu, Coca-Cola, and Amazon, P&G, and IBM. While demonstrators on the street rallied with chants, a group on the 42nd floor of the hotel unveiled a sprawling 40-foot banner emblazoned with "New York loves Gaza." This banner prominently features the watermelon symbol intertwined with ACT UP's iconic pink triangle, originally conceived by Grand Fury in 1987. Amidst the clamor of protesters outside, drag performers Chiquita and Didi Opulence caused a stir within the ceremony as they passionately chanted, "GLAAD is complicit in genocide," during Ross Matthews' speech. Security swiftly escorted them out. Following the protest, a representative from GLAAD provided a statement to the advocate saying, "It unequivocally condemns genocide or any violence against innocent individuals. We stand for the principles of free speech." This is difficult for me. I know the world is tied up in, obviously, the issues in Israel and against the Hamas and all that. And this is difficult for me to understand how people would go to something like GLAAD, which is trying to bring some happiness to the world and open up avenues to discuss a lot of different subjects, from comedy to serious political statements. To sit there and choose an event like this where you just want 10 minutes to not be hearing about it, because we need that break sometimes. Doesn't mean we're ignoring it, doesn't mean we have sympathies to everybody involved, but sometimes I think there's better ways to discuss our disagreement and our disappointment and our political statements than at events like this. I mean, in my opinion, this doesn't seem to connect very well for me.
Yeah, and obviously I work for Jewish Community Service. I myself am not personally Jewish, but I have a strong affinity to the community, and I've been to Israel twice, and I am a strong supporter of free speech, 100%. I will also say that the Anti-Defamation League is also a strong supporter of free speech. And the community. And the community, absolutely. They're strong supporters of the LGBT community. They don't support the humanitarian crisis.
Right.
Everyone should be able to agree that what is happening to the people, the innocent people in Gaza, is horrific. And it's unfortunate that Hamas has created an environment where they are using these people to protect themselves. That being said, what is happening as a result of these protests is, first of all, people who have no idea about the issue are listening to what somebody says to them and repeating it. And first of all, this conflict has been happening for like 4,000 or more years.
Yeah. Right.
And so anytime I hear, and all the American presidents say it, I'm the one who's going to get these two people. You're not going to get these groups to talk to each other. It's not going to happen. But one of the really sad things that's happening, and we see it on the college campuses, all these protests. First of all, they're outsiders coming in to fill these students' heads. I agree that there are reasons to protest.
Right,
but what they're saying and what they're doing is creating a horribly unsafe environment, especially for Jewish students, excuse me, who may or may not have a connection to the state of Israel.
Right. But this is also, in this situation, being specific to the GLAAD article, this because of the confusion of the combination of, now we're talking about anti-union busting. Excuse me, connect the dots. I'd like to know how your so-called topic of being anti-union is connected to Gaza. There's no dots that I'm coming up with in my head. So this is becoming convoluted, and it's no longer a productive conversation.
Well, and that's possibly where the outside again, agitators are all coming in. They're just taking advantage of a situation that's already horrendous.
Right. It's just an angry emotion.
Well, if I could add
confusing.
my 2 cents.
Excuse me.
I think the point of protesting is to be disruptive.
Yes.
And although we appreciate the efforts of people putting the GLAAD Media Awards together, the people undergoing this horrific situation don't really care about the GLAAD Awards. There are people, as you've seen in the news, there are situations where local law enforcement are being so abusive to those peacefully protesting. I saw a video today of an officer unmasking a person on the news that the world would see who this person is protesting. They didn't do that when the alt-right boys was protesting, but they'll do it to these.
Right.
So yeah, I understand not understanding why they're doing it in this fashion, but they're not doing it so you understand it. They're doing it so that they can be heard.
But the message is lost.
The message is lost because we didn't delve into what they were actually saying. We're getting the secondhand point of view from it. Maybe there was a lot more thorough speech being said in that place where they are. We didn't have access to it. My ignorance, I didn't look into what they were actually protesting. I'm not speaking on you, but I didn't get the direct video footage. I definitely wasn't there. I didn't hear everything that was being said. Maybe they have a website. Maybe they have actual rhetoric printed out that we could actually read. I didn't read that. I don't have access to it. We're just hearing they were disruptive. They were shouting about this and shouting about this. So when it gets to us, it sounds like, oh, they're making a mess and their message is being muddied out. Maybe it is when it gets to us, but if they're in that place, we don't know what was actually being said.
But at the same point, again, the fact of the matter is that they're having too many messages in one angry protest. And when you don't have a clear statement other than stop the war, you need to have solutions, you need to have commentary. And when you have too much in the message, it gets dismissed and it becomes an angry battle of me being mad at you and you being mad at me. And that's where I think this has failed.
When Martin Luther King gave his speech, he wasn't just speaking on racial rights. He was also speaking on the workforce. So he had 2 messages in his speech. So maybe it is the way you recite it to the public. And again, we don't know how exactly it was recited to us. Because again, we weren't there. We don't have the exact footage. But I do think it's possible to relay 2 points at one time, as long as it's done coherently. Because if you're being disruptive, you can be disruptive, but the messages have to be clear. And us as the listeners have to make it a point to listen to the message that they delivered. We didn't really do that. We're getting the secondhand or thirdhand point of view from the media of what happened over there.
One of the things, and I prefaced my comments by I believe in the First Amendment.
Everybody here,
absolutely. Everybody here does.
One of the things that I find very challenging, and I kind of touched on it when I said people are saying things when they really don't know what they're saying. People chant from the river to the sea, and they don't understand that what they're saying is Israel does not have a right to exist, and it should be blown off the planet. And I've spoken to a couple people who said, oh, from the river to the sea. And I says, do you really know what that means? And when I tell them, they're like, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a little soundbite to that.
I think that, those kinds of issues are things I take issue with. But I agree, protests need to push the buttons, but my issue with the college campus is that more than half of them aren't students. And I would fully support a 100% student walkout, student protest. I think that's what they should do. But when outsiders start to come in, that's
and act in leadership positions and try and convolute the message and try and dictate what is being said.
And I know, me being a disruptive advocate that I am, you learn that being a disruptive advocate is changing the thought, having the conversation. It's okay to sit and have a difficult conversation. Right? But it's not okay to be destructive. And I think sometimes, as we see so many of these protests, they become destructive and not disruptive.
That's right. We can agree as a whole table that we need a clear, concise message. We can also agree that we will make it a point to do the homework, because ignorance is what is breeding all of this. Ignorance, the violence, and all that good stuff. We need education. We need to inform ourselves. And also, we just want the innocents to be protected and just like protect the babies.
Bring the hostages home.
Exactly. Cease the goddamn fire.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
As part of Hotspots Happening Out's goal to support our community, we offer amazing trips around the world that help raise funds for charity. We invite you to join us on October 8th, 2024, as we experience life under the Tuscan sun with our Italy hub and spoke trip. Spend 15 days in the heart of Tuscany from just $1,799. Find out more at happeningout.travel/Italy.
As a nonprofit LGBTQ+ media organization, we would like to thank our viewers for support of our mission to tell the stories of the queer community. We also thank the generous support of Jets Pizza. Jets is the LGBTQ+ community's most popular pizza in South Florida.
Take a look around these streets. Do you really think we woke up one day and said, yeah, the world needs more pizza? Nah, just a better one. Better, like the world's best pizza, Jet's Detroit-style pizza. Hand-pressed and baked to the thickest, crispiest crunch. You're welcome. Now visit jetspizza.com and save. Click on hot deals for special offers in your area. Jets, better because it has to be.
I'm going to have a piece of this pizza as soon as we're done with the show. Next, we're proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International Service at 10 a.m. every week.
We finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. It is confirmed. Red, White, and Royal Blue sequel in the works. Red, White, and Royal Blue 2 is underway. Director Matthew Lopez and author Casey McQuiston revealed sequel plans during Culver Theater panel. Following Amazon MGM Studios presentation, Lopez announced, quote, "Yes, there's gonna be a sequel," end quote. McQuiston stated that they both are writing it together.
Is there going to be a sequel? Like, are you working on anything? Yes, there's going to be a sequel to this.
Matthew and I are writing it together.
I had the pleasure of interviewing the amazing director Matthew Lopez about the first movie, Real Sweetheart. I just hope that if Uma Thurman returns as Alex's mother, that Lopez will be able to help her maintain her Texas accent better than she did in the original. That's all.
God damn it, she tried. I'm excited to play the sequel in the background while my husband and I do laundry, just like we did with the first movie.
I didn't see the first one, so maybe now that there's a 2, I'll
Get your laundry ready. It's a good one.
I'll binge watch both of them.
I'm just going to tell you, get your crown and your corgis ready.
Honey, gotta eat some corgis.
Okay, LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up sports. Twunk British diver Tom Daley secures 5th Olympic bid, sets history record. Tom Daley is aiming for the gold again. The 29-year-old British diver has been named to his 5th Olympic Games, becoming the first British diver to reach this milestone. Daley, living in Los Angeles with his husband Dustin Lance Black, has 1 gold medal and 3 bronze medals. He first competed in the Olympics at age 14 in 2008. Wow, you know, I didn't know what a twunk was before I read this story, but he's certainly a twunk. And I guess, you know, gay men are into diving. You know, Greg Louganis. And,
yeah, you know how gay men and diving.
Gay men and diving, right?
Like tale as old as time.
But,
Tom Daley, the athlete, he has made strides. He has some huge accomplishments. And Tom Daley, the athlete, I think you're doing an amazing job. Tom Daley, the athlete.
Not the twunk.
No, not the twunk.
And he's a hell of a knitter, too.
A what?
A knitter.
Oh, okay. You better enunciate.
Knitter. Wow.
Go, Tom, make a splash.
Oh, all right now. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up the world view. Inclusive Paris 2024 Olympics as drag queen Nicky carries Olympic flame in France. Nicky, season 12 RuPaul's Drag Race contestant and Drag Race France host, carried the Olympic flame in France en route to the 2024 Paris Games. Nicky was the second drag queen to carry the flame. First was Miss Martini, who carried the flame a day earlier. Now, as a drag queen who's also an athlete, technically, I think this is tremendous. I think it's stupendous. And I think I'm ready to carry the flame for America whenever they call me. My Instagram is @BonnieBuilder Olympics. Whenever you're ready, I got the arms.
I think it's awesome, you know, all this conversation about trans people in sports. Yes, let the trans folks and the drag queens be out there in front.
Right.
In the biggest international sports event.
I say let them be history making, which they are.
Right, we're flamers already.
Right. Okay, LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Remembering gay rights activist Harvey Milk, on the occasion of upcoming Harvey Milk Day, May 22nd. Harvey Milk Day, celebrated annually on May 22nd, is organized by the Harvey Milk Foundation in memory of the late gay rights activist. Assassinated in 1978, Milk was the prominent 20th century figure who became the first openly gay person elected to California public office as a city supervisor. This day honors his efforts to end LGBTQ plus discrimination and educates others about his impactful life and work. Stay tuned to find out how South Florida celebrates it. All I can say is this just continues to show, when you look at history, that we just have to continue to stay the course. We stay united, we stay the course, we will make inroads in this country.
The arc of justice bends, but it moves forward.
Well, I look forward to the day, although I doubt it'll be in my lifetime, that Harvey Milk Day becomes a national holiday.
That would be incredible.
nice.
Also, we need to take away from this, stay gay, stay educated, and please stay in politics. We have a place there.
And vote.
And vote.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up sports. Kansas City Chiefs star Harrison Butker bashes LGBTQ plus and President Joe Biden. Kansas City Chiefs star Harrison Butker has faced backlash for a graduation speech at Benedictine College, where he labeled LGBTQ plus Pride Month as sinful and criticized President Biden's pro-choice stance. Butker, speaking at the commencement address at the Catholic Benedictine institution, asserted women would be happiest as wives and mothers and condemned what he termed as dangerous gender ideologies.
I'm certain the reporters at the AP could not have imagined that their attempt to rebuke and embarrass places and people like those here at Benedictine wouldn't be met with anger, but instead met with excitement and pride. Not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it, but the true God-centered pride that is cooperating with the Holy Ghost to glorify Him.
Well, the gentleman needs to have the Holy Ghost, because the last message I got from the Vatican and the Pope was that there was room at the table for the LGBTQ plus community.
That's right.
And for women in general. And that the Pope and the current Vatican was making inroads into help and making it a more welcome community for everybody at the table. So I'm not sure what Roman Catholic upbringing he came into, because as a Roman Catholic, that's not the upbringing I came into. And especially, if I was his sister, his niece, his daughter, his mother, his aunt,
his female dog,
I would be embarrassed by saying that women need to be in a subservient position. But I'm equally disappointed for those poor college students, because it's their moment to celebrate their success, and here he is making a personal political statement. Right. And I think that it was just horrifying, and I personally would have got up and left, and I would have made sure that a complaint had been made to the board. But, you know, it was pointed out to me that the board approved this speech, so that's a big statement for Benedictine College, which I'm very familiar with because I have friends that had gone there, and it's not the same place as it was years past. So I'm just speechless on this one, because this is a personal political statement. It's not a Vatican approved political statement.
He needs to just stay on the football field.
And shut up.
Well, and that walking headed injury isn't just a homophobe, he's an anti-Semite too. Frankly, I think that Butker is MTG with a smaller dick.
Clearly, I think,
That just went right over.
he needs some rainbow enlightenment. Maybe that starts in the locker room.
Right. If that's how you operate your household, live your life. But don't bring that out here. Just like a lot of conservatives say about queer people. You ain't got to do it in front of us. That ain't none of our business.
I'm waiting for the Kansas City Chiefs, who have Pride on their Pride celebration on their calendar this year, to hear what they have to say about
what
this.
they gonna do?
Right. Yeah. So.
Well.
You're up again, buddy.
I'm sorry. I'm just that stunned.
For Clint.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hot Spots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I am your anchor, Bonnie Builder, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Cindy Brown, Gregg Shapiro, Vaughn Biggs, and Buddy Frey, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. to our LGBTQ plus world. We wish you good night.